everyone, welcome back to the channel and into another vlog. I'm chilling out on the couch at the moment and doing some crocheting and enjoying a cup of tea, so I thought I would have a little chat whilst I'm doing this. I feel like you guys quite liked my last chit chat vlog, so today I'm thinking let's talk about couples and relationships. For a bit of context, I've been together with my husband for about 11 years now. We've been married for 2, living together for about 4, and we have a 5-year age gap, and we are mixed nationalities. I wouldn't say I've got advice to give you since I'm also quite newly married myself, but I do want to share some insights and maybe a bit from our experience because I think it's actually really interesting to learn what works for other couples and taking what I think would work for us and then just like leaving the rest. And so let's just get straight into it. By the way, I'm just doing a herringbone stitch this whole time, so I can pretty much do that whilst talking and I don't really need to concentrate because it's a blanket and I'm not really counting stitches and stuff like that. Alright, so the first question is, how do we arrange our finances? Okay, so we have one joint account and that is where we deposit a monthly budget, I guess you could say, amount into, and all of our shared expenses come out of that account. We both have access to that account, and if we are to make any big purchases or out of the ordinary purchases, we do consult with each other because that one is our shared finances. But then we also each have our own individual personal accounts, and this account we keep a set amount of money which we've determined ourselves is our budget for our own personal expenses per month, and we don't have any say as to what we spend that money on. So I have no say in what he spends it on. He doesn't ask me what I spent it on. So we have the freedom to do what we like with that money, and I personally think this is a great balance because it gives us control over our finances, but we also have a bit of privacy. The majority of our funds do go into the shared account because it makes more sense being where the main expenses come out of and the bigger expenses come out of, but it's nice that we have that little bit that we keep to ourselves every month and we can do what we like with it and we don't have to ask the other person. So that's how we've been doing it for the past 4 years and it's worked really well for us. Okay, the next question is, how do we work through arguments? Well, like any other normal couple, we do have heated debates, which are totally normal and totally healthy. But usually what happens is after we've spoken out about whatever it is and we've taken some time to talk through it all, or argue through it all, we do then take some time to cool off and we part ways. We go to different parts of the house and we just cool down and go about our own things. We're not necessarily giving each other the silent treatment, but we do steer clear of each other. So we just focus on our own things and don't, interact with each other, I guess you would say. But that's because we tend to, we need time to just separate and think about what we've just argued about, reflect on, what the other person has expressed. And usually after, I don't know, a few hours, or if it's really bad, a few days, one of us will make the first move to make up with the other person, which is usually in the form of an apology or recognizing, you know, where we stuffed up, and talking through about how to avoid it the next time. And we're generally really like peaceful, very calm at that point, maybe even a bit sad. But we'll like cuddle it out, you know, make sure we're both like, okay, we're all right, we're gonna work through this. And that's generally how we make up after arguments. I know people usually advise, you know, don't go to sleep angry at each other, and, you know, don't let fights go overnight. But in our experience, we personally believe that it kind of helps when you sleep on it sometimes. You know, getting some sleep sheds some light on the situation and makes us think through, what did we talk about, you know, what did the other person say, and makes you just like think through like, okay, did that, you know, make sense? Was I overreacting? Or, you know, do you just understand the other person a bit more? So yeah, I don't think it's always a bad thing to have fights go overnight, for us even like a few days, but at the end we generally do make up before it gets too long. Like, I wouldn't say go a whole week without talking to each other, but 1 to 3 days I still think is like okay. Okay, the next question is, how do we show love to each other? Oh, I love this one. So I reckon it's in the small everyday things. Like, we're not ones for big grand gestures, and to be honest, I think it's kind of better in the simpler things. So for example, my husband makes me coffee every morning, and I make him a lunchbox every day. And that's like small ways we like to, you know, serve one another, I guess you would say. And that's really nice, and that's really constant because it's an everyday thing. We also have, you know, frequent touch points throughout the day, like a morning kiss, a honey I'm home after work kiss, and a goodnight kiss. And so those are constant every day as well. So we know that even if we don't talk throughout the whole day, we don't see each other, at least there are those points for us to have that moment of connection. And another thing is, which we've really implemented in the last couple of years, is we say thank you to each other for the everyday things as well. So for example, my husband will say thank you for dinner after I've cooked us a meal, and I will say thank you for making me coffee. And I guess you could say our love language is acts of service. And we try not to take it for granted, and we verbally acknowledge that every time it happens, for the most part. And we also do little surprises here and there. Say one of us goes out for the day with some friends and we buy some cakes or like a novelty drink, or something that, you know, the person likes. We'll bring it home to them and share our love that way as well. So if he goes out with friends and he comes back with some donuts, that's like, oh, I thought of you while I was out. Next question. Does it feel different being married? So we were together for 9 years. No, wait, how many years have we been married? 2. Only 2? Ah, feels like we've been married for ages. So being together for 9 years and then married for 2, to be honest, it doesn't really feel that different, because we've been together for so long that I feel like we were married ages ago. So signing those papers didn't really change the dynamic of our relationship. Other than that, I do feel like a stronger sense of joint responsibility with my husband now, which is more like in the legal things, like when we have insurance in our names together and we do tax together and all those like non-fun things, like when you're next of kin to each other and stuff like that. But other than that, you know, responsibility to each other, the rest is pretty much the same. Like generally speaking, obviously, you know, very serious about our relationship and about our marriage, but we try not to be like serious as in our attitude. Oh, actually, no, that's not the best way to put it. As in the vibe. Maybe you could say it's the vibe. You know what I mean? Like we stay playful with each other and we're not parenting each other, and we just, you know, let things go when things don't go to plan. And yeah, I think overall that just helps keep the relationship fun, makes it light, it makes it enjoyable, and that's good. Like I want to keep it that way because there's so many things in life that is like, got to be serious about that. It's nice to come home and just, you know, be a goofball. Oh, I've been talking so much. I'm not really crocheting. Question 5. How much time do we spend together? I would say we spend a healthy amount of time together and an even healthier amount of time apart. Because my husband and I's interests are quite different, and we have our own separate hobbies, and we actually spend a lot of time doing our own things. And we like spending time apart so we can come together and talk about the things that we did and share about our day, and it just makes conversation more interesting. I would say there's a balance between together and individually. And finally, any words of wisdom to share? One thing I would say is to have more patience with each other. So I've learned over the years that my husband has a timeline for how he wants to do things, and there is nothing wrong with that. It's just not my way. So over time, I have just accepted that I can't have it my way all the time, and to have more patience to let him do it whenever he wants to do it, and let him organize things when he wants to, rather than to try and control it and maybe end up arguing about it. So not only does it bring me more peace to let it go and let go of control, but it also sends him the message that I trust him and his decisions. Like, I hope that makes sense, but yeah, it could be applied to many things, but just in general, I just try to have more patience with him, and I ask that he has more patience with me. The thing I would say is to refrain from nagging and to change to an appreciative mindset. And let me explain what I mean by this. So let's say it's about unloading the dishwasher, and in the past I would get annoyed and frustrated that it wasn't done at the time that I wanted it to be done. So I like it to be done before I cook dinner because it's more troublesome for me to have to sort that out before starting to cook the meal. And that to me was the ideal timeline. And this is where all the things I said previously also comes into play. But for example, my husband's timeline is he likes to empty it somewhere between finishing work and going to the gym. And so you see, neither is wrong. It's just that the systems is not aligning. So in that case, what I ended up doing was saying nothing, actually. So in the first instance, if it didn't happen at the time I wanted it to be done, then I just said nothing and I let it be until he did it, and just left it to whenever he wanted to do it. And then, as the opposite to that, when he did do it at the time that I wanted it to be done, I would respond by expressing gratitude and appreciation. So for example, I would say, "Thank you, honey, for clearing the dishwasher before I got started with cooking dinner. It helps me out a lot and I really appreciate it." Or I would say, "I love it when the dishwasher is emptied before I get home from work. It makes cooking after work so much easier and smoother." And I tell you what, I feel like in my experience, it works wonders. Over a period of time, which was probably like months, so don't expect miracles to happen here, but like over a few months, I started to notice that he was doing it more and more at the time that I wanted it to be done, because it's like it had a reversed effect, and he wanted to seek that approval from me, or he wanted to be nicer about it and wanted to give the results that I, preferred. And so, yeah, I sort of started doing it this way, and I tell you what, I've done it over like across many things. This dishwasher one is just an example, but I've done it with many things where I've said, "I love it when you do it this way. I love it when this happens." And I feel like he shows up to it, and it's like things have changed without me having to nag about it. And in my opinion, I think that's better than nagging, because it's starting off on a positive note, and then you're also getting a positive result. So I found this mindset to be really helpful. It's brought more peace and trust and respect to our relationship. And so, yeah, maybe it will work for you as well. I actually learned this from a great book called The Empowered Wife, and so I'll leave that down in the description box below if you want to learn more about it. But yeah, I feel like I've been just talking heaps and not actually crocheting, so I think I might wrap up the video here, and I hope you enjoyed a more chatty vlog. Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you enjoyed it, please give it a like and consider subscribing for more from me. Have a lovely day, and I'll catch you in the next one.